Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to this 39th Platform Academy session. This will be another interesting session with my friend Ashley. She was already here 3 Academy sessions ago, I think. So we did a session on knowledge management and had so much content to cover that we decided to put 2 together. So this will be the second part of this presentation and more info. I hope you all had a chance to watch the previous session. If not, I will put the link in the chat and in the video description later. And I think we can add go forward, another slide. Thank you. You know this one. I mean, this is we might be addressing some forward-looking statements, so don't make any purchasing decisions based on that. First of all, this is part of a larger network of Platform Academy series. We have academies on next experience, on conversational interfaces. We have AI topics very hot right now, and of course, mobile and other platform topics. So check out the other sessions with that QR code, and I have a list of links at the end of this presentation as well. And then I think we can do some short introductions too. So as I said, hello everyone. My name is Lisa. I'm Lisa Hohenstein. I'm an outbound product manager for the Now platform. I live in Germany. I've been with ServiceNow for about 4.5 years. I've worked with the Now platform since about the Helsinki release, so a couple of years. And my main focus areas on the platform are the workflow automation products, that is Flow Designer, Decision Builder, and Process Automation Designer. And that's over to you, Ashley.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Snyder. I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. I am based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Been with ServiceNow for about 1.5 years. Feels like I've been here forever though. Prior to that, I was a developer and an admin for customers in healthcare and higher education. I've been working with the platform since the Fuji release, so I find that I remember things came out, but now it seems like a while ago, and I can't remember exactly which release that is. That means I'm getting old. But I'm here to discuss knowledge management today. You'll probably see me on future Platform Academies with Lisa as we get into Admin Center and a lot of good things coming out for admins in Vancouver. So you'll see me back again in a couple of months.
So exciting.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. So we are going to be covering part 2 of this series today. As Lisa mentioned, there is part 1 that has been recorded. It's up on the community. It's up on YouTube. The deck is out for that. So if you haven't gotten a chance to look at part 1 yet, please check that out. I will do a small recap of what I covered in just a few slides so you know what to expect. But we're really going to get into the second half of our journey today. So with that being said, here's the agenda. I am going to recap on some resources just so you know where those resources are at. We're going to continue on our journey, and then hopefully we'll have some time for questions and feedback. I do have a lot of content to cover, so if I don't get to your question live or in the chat, we'll take it back offline, and I'll connect with Lisa and we'll post the answers on the community event for this recording afterwards. All right, so resources. So we do have a couple of resources out there for you. So whether you're new to knowledge management, you want to implement it, or you're looking to expand your knowledge management capabilities, we do have a lot of resources to help you with that. So the first one's going to be Now Learning. We have 2 main courses on Now Learning. We have a fundamentals course, which gives you an overview of knowledge management, an overview of the life cycle, and it also introduces you to KCS, or what's called knowledge-centered service. This is actually a methodology that has been built into our product. So if you think of methodology, you're probably pretty familiar with ITIL. Kind of think of KCS as the ITIL for knowledge management. So it'll walk you through the basics of that. We also have an implementation course, which walks you through establishing knowledge management in your instance. So it covers topics like workflows, roles, templates, and it'll get you into some of those KCS capabilities as well, such as article quality index and other advanced capabilities. In conjunction with that, we do have a guided setup built into the knowledge management product itself. I do recommend using this guided setup in conjunction with the implementation course. So kind of use them in tandem, learn as you go. With guided setup, you can configure administration, security, and other capabilities by completing tasks or assigning them out. And this will just walk you through, again, when you're first setting up knowledge management with those basic capabilities, or if you're revisiting and you want to look at versioning, or if you want to look at knowledge demand insights or other more advanced capabilities that we have, you can always go back to it and use this to help you along the way with configuring that. And then last but not least, we do have the Knowledge Management Product Hub and discussion on the community site. So the Product Hub is fairly new. It's where I'm going to be posting things such as best practices, like new capabilities, release updates, and getting started guides. The discussion group's been out there for a little while. It is more of an informal setting where I've seen a lot of different knowledge managers and customers kind of ask what other companies are doing and kind of get more of that informal advice on knowledge management. So that is there for you as well. So a lot of great resources out there that are being continuously updated. And we'll have these links in the chat for you too. So you can get to the Now Learning as well as the product hubs. All right, so part one, I do want to just recap what I covered. So when you are going back to revisit that, you know what to expect. So I did cover just a basic overview of knowledge-centered service and kind of what that was and some benefits that you can get from it. Then we went into how to structure your knowledge base. So best practices on structuring one or multiple knowledge bases, things that you need to keep in mind, best practices for categories, categories versus unified taxonomy, the difference between our portals, and so on. And then we went into capturing or creating knowledge articles. So how you should structure your content, what kind of information you should put in your content, why you should use article templates and knowledge blocks. So all of that is in part one of this series. So for this part two, we're going to get back into our knowledge management flow. We're going to talk about best practices for each step of our flow. So like I mentioned, we hit structure and capture in part one. We are going to go through use, improve, and content help in part two today. So let's go ahead and jump into use and how we can maximize the benefits of knowledge management by using it. So the primary purpose of knowledge is to be used and reused within the organization. By using knowledge, we can decrease things such as resolution time, average handling time, and increase user and customer satisfaction. Additionally, we alleviate stress on our agents with providing them with all the necessary resources that they need to resolve issues. Reusing that knowledge not only provides insights into kind of issue trends, but also contributes to the continual improvement of your knowledge articles, as issues are going to be detected and fixed or flagged as that knowledge is used within your cases or incidents or other record types. Any additional information or content updates can be done by the agent when they are reusing the article within our configurable workspaces. So let's discuss some best practices for setting up your knowledge articles to maximize their usefulness. The first one is that knowledge should be easily readable by capturing knowledge articles during their interaction with the caller and really in their context and language in conjunction with using knowledge article templates. We're already making it easier for users to access this information. It's really important to remember that knowledge articles should focus on solving one topic or issue rather than being lengthy essays. The articles should be formatted in such a way that they are easily viewable by a wide range of users, providing context and examples to help them understand to solve their problems. A lot of users just really need quick solutions, whether they're doing self-service or your agents are attaching articles or walking them through. It's really important to provide clear steps for them to follow. If articles are too long or difficult to read, you may see that your users are just resorting to opening an incident or a case or just going to chat itself.
Well, that defeats the whole purpose of self-service and deflection.
So true. So, think about different kind of users out there. Think about how you look for things when you're getting support. You have an issue, you just want the steps to resolve it or know what to do. The next one is that your content should be trusted and up to date. So, when you think about when you're searching for information on the internet, you're more than likely to click on things that are like up to date or published within the last year. The same goes for your users. They're going to prefer articles that have been reviewed and updated in the past year. if they see articles that haven't been updated or are like 3 years old, they're really not going to have a lot of confidence in that content, or it might not seem trustworthy. Again, they may just default to creating a case or an incident or hopping right over to chat. So just think about these things when you are like thinking about the valid to date on your articles and kind of your review processes, which I'll discuss later on in content help. When agents encounter articles with missing or incorrect information, they're encouraged to either fix the articles themselves or flag it for domain experts to fix. So this is more of a KCS capability, but if you are using KCS, we do provide roles and guidelines for contributing and publishing articles. So, we don't want a bunch of just articles just being published with incorrect content. So we do have those roles, we do have those workflows out there to make sure that we do have quality content in our knowledge base when agents are creating them. All right, the next one is to make your articles accessible. And this really is, by your users, by your agents. So looking at things such as portals, mobile devices, workspaces. Really, a lot of this is covered in part 1 when I mentioned structuring your articles for findability. You want to make sure that your articles are easy to find when users are searching or browsing for them. So the example I provided in part 1, we have an article, and if it's titled something like DNS server down, that's very technical. A lot of times your users are going to have difficulties locating what they need. They're not going to search for this. Your agents may not search for this. A more appropriate title would be like cannot view a website. That is going to be something in the user's language. It's something that they're going to search for, and probably your other agents are going to search for as well when they go to find that issue. So make sure that they're accessible. A couple other things for this is that if you do have users who are multilingual or using different languages and you're using AI search, you can enable AI search to search for articles in any language. And I have a link that we'll share out in this PowerPoint. So they can search for terms in different languages. So that is something you can enable. Finally, encourage your users and agents to give feedback on articles through comments, ratings, and reporting knowledge gaps. This really helps us improve the articles themselves. So users can provide feedback through portals or mobile interfaces. Agents can leave feedback via workspaces. Communicating how feedback is making articles better really does build trust with your users, and it encourages them to provide more feedback in the future. And we'll kind of get into that process flow a little bit later on. So I'm glad that we threw the safe harbor out there. Since we are on the topic of usage and interface recommendations, I do want to cover this topic. So we launched the Knowledge V3 page early on in the platform. I know it was there in Fuji, so it's been around for a while. It's this page over here on the left. So this page, it's been with us. It is for users who aren't using portals to look for knowledge. But it's not very configurable, and we are going to be replacing it with the knowledge portal page that we released. I'm going to say Istanbul, maybe Kingston.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah, you might know. That's what I'm kind of getting into. It's like sometime a long time ago.
But not that long ago.
Exactly. So
it wasn't there when I started, but it wasn't there before I joined ServiceNow. So sometime between 2017 and 19.
That seems right. So it's received some updates, and we just put a new theme on it in Tokyo. So it does have that new theming. So we are going to be replacing the Knowledge V3 page over here on the left with the new portal page in Washington, D.C. So this is going to be a change that we make. You can get ahead of this if you want. There is a knowledge article on how to go ahead and do that redirect. I have a link to the system property that you need to do the redirect down here in the slide. So if you want to get ahead of it, really, it's just going to be, training your users who use the old page on how to use the new one. The functionality will be the same. You just have to do that training on how the interface has changed. And with the portal page, since it is using Angular, it is using their service portal technology, it's going to be a lot more configurable and customizable than the old page was. So if that was a blocker that you were hitting with how to customize this page, you're going to have a lot more flexibility with the new knowledge page. So that is one thing I did want to go ahead and share out. Go ahead and do it now if you want, or prepare for it, or you can wait until Washington, D.C., and we'll do it there during that release.
I just posted the link to the system property as well.
Thank you. All right, so since we're on the topic of interfaces and usability, I do want to cover our search engines that we have out there. I'm not going to get into too much of a deep dive on best practices for these search engines because we have a lot of content out there, but I did want to cover at a high level differences.
And we have a whole academy.
We do. So I'm not gonna repeat what they said. I will not be able to give you that content as well as they can. But we do have, so our two search engines, we have Zing Search. It's been with us for a while, like really early on in the platform. It was our default search engine. It does provide fast results. And it has some features such as automatic search suggestions, indexing text, and including attachments in search. Over the past couple of years, we've really invested heavily in our more advanced search engine called AI Search, and we're going to continue prioritizing AI Search over Zing. So AI Search, it does utilize machine learning and offers a cognitive search experience. So I know most customers prefer that consumer grade search experience. They've been asking for it. I mean, your users go to Google, they go to Amazon, they want the same kind of search experience when they're in ServiceNow, when they're on portals. So AI Search is going to align with these asks a lot more than Zing could. We have a lot of best practices on how to get there with Zing, but it really just doesn't do it. It wasn't built for it. It wasn't meant for it. So if you haven't looked at AI Search already, go ahead and go to the Academy. As Lisa mentioned, there is a product hub out there. Start getting familiar with it because it is going to provide your users a better experience than Zing Search will. And then this is just a really good graphic that I like to show when I'm speaking to different customers. It really just kind of shows the business value of our different searches. So Zing Search kind of falls somewhere between keyword search and semantic search. You can see as we have more features and more things that the search engine can do, that the business value goes up. So AI Search is all the way here at the top with actionable search. So it has a lot more business value. Actionable search, when I speak to that, an example would be like if someone's searching on how to replace a keyboard, instead of just giving them a knowledge article on how to replace a keyboard, we're going to go ahead and show them the request item on how they can do that so they can go ahead and take action on that search rather than just viewing it. So really high level stuff. If you want to go a lot deeper, definitely check out the resources that we have on AI Search. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and go into agents usage for knowledge management. I am going to be speaking to some workspace features that we have out there. So as far as KCS and really outside of KCS too, it really isn't just a KCS thing. It really is important for your agents to search early and search often. And what I mean by that is when they get an interaction or a case or an incident, really the first thing that they should be doing is looking for a knowledge article to resolve that issue, whether that they're attaching it to send to the user so they can resolve it, or if they're walking the user through the steps. We really don't want to spend a lot of time on like problem analysis and research for issues that are already solved and have knowledge articles out there. So Agent Assist is going to be the tool to do this. It does speed up as far as searching. It does speed up that process because we do grab some fields such as the short description, and I know you can configure AI Assist to look for some other things. So we will go ahead and key off that and try to give you the knowledge articles that best match that right away. And then from Agent Assist, right from this panel here, you can get just a short description of what that article contains. Agents can go ahead and attach the article. They can flag it if they need to flag it, and which will create a feedback task, which I'll speak to in just a moment. They can mark it as helpful, or they can go into a full view of the article if they need to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that article. So this really prevents agents from having to navigate elsewhere to view knowledge articles because they have everything they need within that workspace to resolve that issue.
So if we think back to the core UI, what people may still be used to, this is similar to the embedded portion in the form that you would see if you click the button next to the short description. That used to surface those articles, but better.
Yeah, exactly. So contextual search, I don't think you could do any of the flagging options or anything
Yeah.
through that contextual search.
Awesome.
On that point, again, we are going to be investing more in agent assist and contextual search as we are investing more in our workspace capabilities than in the classic environment. So that is an important thing to note if you are thinking about workspaces and kind of what the differences and benefits would be. So some other agent actions in workspaces for using knowledge articles. So let's say that an agent cannot locate a knowledge article for their issue. They can create a knowledge gap if an article is missing. So a knowledge gap is just when we have an issue and we don't have an article to resolve that issue in the knowledge base. That's when we use the terminology knowledge gap. And then if you're using KCS or if your business process flow is to allow agents to create articles, they can go ahead and create one during the time of interaction from the workspace itself. So that does kind of flow into capturing that user's context and capturing that language in your business process. So you can flag articles to provide this feedback, and that will really help facilitate continual improvement too. So again, creating articles, flagging articles. If you are creating articles, you can fill out which knowledge base it needs to go into, and you can decide which knowledge or article template that you need to use. If you're using KCS in knowledge, we do have that KCS template that I discussed in part 1, which will automatically capture information from that record and put it into the draft knowledge article itself. So this really does kind of speed up that process. When you have an agent who's working with someone on an interaction, they need to capture that data. Really, that's what that KCS template is for, to speed that up, because we know that that can be maybe a little bit slower of a process at times, and we want to assist those agents in creating those articles.
Yeah, from experience, it takes a little for organizations to adopt this at first. So you may need to make sure you have some form of governance in place so that you really encourage your agents to actually create articles from their cases or their incidents. Because the more knowledge you have, the easier future cases will be to solve. But I know from experience that's not an easy task to do. So making those hurdles as small as possible is a very good approach, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I've been on a service desk myself, so I know you have chats and multiple calls coming in, and you're working with like 3 people at once and asking to create a knowledge article during all that seems like a big ask. So like Lisa mentioned, giving those agents a leg up and giving them the information that they need to do that quickly helps them. But also to your point of getting this process set up, it's not going to happen overnight. Like, we do have the tools in the product, but really it's going to take some planning. It's going to take some embracing by the organization. It's going to take your leadership getting behind it. I will say, if you're looking for materials on that, go to the Consortium for Service Innovations website. They have way more information on KCS than I can provide in these 2 sessions. But they give you all that context. They give you steps on how to set up your KCS methodology at your organization, a lot more than just what's in ServiceNow's knowledge management product. So that's a really great resource to check out. And they provide a lot of this information, not behind a paywall. It's free for you to use and take a look at. And then if you want to go deeper, they have training and certifications as well. All right, let's hop into improve. And I might go a little more quickly because I do have a lot more content to cover. So how do you improve your knowledge? So you have agents using it, you want to improve the quality and relevance of your knowledge. You can definitely use feedback. Often feedback, it is more of a reactive process, but it does highlight minor edits that need to be made, issues in the process, or even missing content. So by reviewing and acting on your feedback, your teams can make adjustments to that content and make it more meaningful to your users. Reduce your knowledge gaps. Like I mentioned, a knowledge gap occurs when you have an issue and you don't have a knowledge article to resolve it. So you can proactively tackle this by looking at like unsuccessful searches. You can look at navigation paths with user experience analytics. And if you are Looking at if you have knowledge demand insights, which is more of an advanced capability of predictive intelligence, we do that for you via machine learning. And then your agents put them in as well. So just taking a look at those knowledge gaps. Definitely want to improve the quality of your knowledge base by minimizing duplicates and offering unique information. So that's something to take into account, making sure that articles are unique and there's not a lot of articles that kind of come up with slight differences for your users to navigate through. And then additionally, retiring or replacing articles to not convolute those search results with irrelevant or outdated content. Finally, KCS, again, I keep pushing it. I want you to look into it, but we do have an article quality index checklist that will really help you establish a consistent standard of quality for all your articles in your knowledge base, which I'll cover in just a few slides. All right, so let's get into feedback. So feedback can be provided in multiple ways. So end users can leave feedback on articles via portal interface or mobile. Agents can leave feedback in articles via a workspace. We have different feedback types. So you can flag an article as incorrect or inappropriate, or whatever you need to flag it for. That will create a feedback task. You can rate an article. So we do have like a 1 to 5 star rating. Articles can be marked as helpful or not helpful. And then we have comments, which users can view and reply to. And I did want to mention, as of Tokyo, we did enable rating and helpful or not helpful at a knowledge base level. So if you have a knowledge base that you don't want these options on, you can control that at the knowledge base level now. So actionable feedback task. So we have feedback records that get created when an article is rated or marked as not helpful, but you can really kind of enhance your process via actionable feedback and feedback task. So out of the box, if you have installed the Knowledge Advanced plugin and you have configured knowledge feedback task, you're going to get a feedback task when an article is flagged. It's either going to go to the ownership group or the author of the knowledge article for review. We do have some configuration and some system properties where if you want to have feedback tasks when an article is rated below a set value, so let's say it gets 1 star, or if it's marked as unhelpful, you can create a feedback task as well. Again, these will go to the ownership groups or the authors of the articles. In part 1 of this series, I did discuss ownership groups and all of the advantages of using those ownership groups. This really is just one of those advantages, right? Taking this feedback task, and instead of sending it to one person, you can send it to the ownership group manager to delegate those tasks out. I won't cover this slide. I did want to throw it in there because we're going to put it in the PDF. So I didn't want a slide out there that I didn't speak to, but this is a really great one to screenshot or take a look at later. It's just how feedback works with article versioning. So in case you have questions about that and you are using versioning, here's this matrix for you so you can take this with you and refer to it later. All right. So we do have a feature. Again, it is part of our KCS functionality called Article Quality Checklist. So what an article quality checklist does, it allows you to make sure that you have quality articles on your knowledge base. So you can associate one checklist to a knowledge base and make sure that all the articles in that knowledge base are following a set standard. More than likely, you're going to have articles that are created by various authors, and you want to make sure that they're all adhering to some kind of set standard for that knowledge base. So with the checklist, you can have different questions with scoring, and you can set a pass or fail threshold. We do give you a default checklist out of the box that's based on KCS. So a lot of the example questions are here. So making sure that the article is unique to prevent duplicates. Are the links valid? So kind of going back to our link discussion, this is just a proactive measure to make sure that our links are good. And just some different things here to make sure that that knowledge article does have that quality. Again, you can create your own checklist. You can modify this checklist, do what you need to do and set it up for that knowledge base. Again, the KCS standards on the consortium's website really goes a lot deeper into article quality index and checklists. So if you want to go deeper with this, or if you just want to use our default one, you can too. But this really is going to make sure that those knowledge articles do adhere to the standards that you set for your knowledge base.
The abbreviation gets me though. It's the same like the air quality index, which has been prevalent in the news lately.
Yeah, it's pretty bad here.
Do you have a second for a few questions? So one of them is, can we get more info on reducing gaps in searches and navigation? Where and how do we look into this? Is this later in the slide deck or?
It's not, but I'll take this offline and post to it.
Nice. Then the second is, do you know how common it is for customers to use external knowledge sources for their knowledge management?
I've had some customers ask. I know that came out in Helsinki, so it is an older plugin. This might be actually a good use case for AI search, since you can search external sources itself. So let me take this one offline. So I really do need to do a comparison of that older plugin that we offer versus AI search and which one you should use in which scenario.
All right. And then the last one is, there's also a helpful yes, no on the Genius result card. Do you know the table name where the results are stored in? I think we'll probably follow up with that.
Yeah, that's an AI search question. We'll take that one offline.
Awesome. And then one in chat, if there are any resources in the community forums on how to roll out the AQI review process.
So I know the knowledge managers discussion has had a lot on this. I would check there. We have a lot of customers such as, well, I can't say the customer names, but we have a lot of customers that have done this and have actually YouTube videos. So check on that knowledge managers discussion for that.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that's all so far.
So just a kind of a quick recap of knowledge article improvement best practices. So encourage feedback and take visible action on that feedback. So you encourage future feedback. Track search phrases, incorporate those search phrases into your articles and identify knowledge gaps with unsuccessful searches. Make sure that you ensure recency by using the article validity field, so that valid to field, and you're doing reviews on that, which I'll get to in just a moment. Reduce your duplicates and retire or replace out-of-date information. So if you haven't heard of replace, that was a Tokyo feature. You can replace an article when you're retiring it. So if you have another article that you'd like to use instead, we give you a pop-up, you can choose it, and links do like a redirect, so you don't have to go back and change any old links to that retired article.
Oh, that's so handy. So you can use the same permalink and it will still get you to the right place.
Yeah, we do a 301 redirect.
Very handy.
Yeah. And then use AQI checklists if you're looking at KCS features to ensure quality across various authors. All right, so we've gotten pretty far in our journey. Let's go ahead and go into some content health best practices. So we have our content. Let's do a little recap. We've organized our knowledge bases for easy access. We've established guidelines for article creation. We've improved the usability for our users and agents, and we've incorporated feedback and other things to enhance our articles. So how do we make sure that we continue doing all these things and that our knowledge bases are healthy? There are a couple things to do here. We have some capabilities, and we are going to be speaking to some strategies to do this. So the first thing really is that your organization should define some kind of content review and feedback strategies to enhance the quality and relevance of your articles. So implementing a content review process ensures that your articles are continuing to meet desired standards even after they've been published and maybe gone through an initial review. And your feedback strategy establishes a systematic approach for receiving and addressing user feedback. Once you've defined your strategies, they'll be implemented and the actions will be taken on them. This process is ongoing. It's a repeated process. You should really kind of define milestones and benchmarks that you want to track for success. It's really important to track the effectiveness of your content and feedback strategies to make sure that they're working. If you've implemented a content strategy or feedback strategy, you want to make sure it's giving you the results that you want. If you've made changes to that strategy, you also want to see, did that negatively or positively impact our content health and our knowledge articles. So just continuously looking at these metrics and these benchmarks will help you do that. We do have some out-of-the-box pre-built knowledge dashboards that you can use for this to gain insights into different metrics for your content health. That will help you, just keep that bird's eye view on your knowledge content, as well as assist you with kind of communicating those metrics out to those who need to know. All right, so let's get into the content review strategy. This is one that we get a lot, and I know it's discussed in the knowledge managers discussion group. So again, a really great place to look. But it really is important to make sure that your content is being reviewed on a periodic basis. We don't really want to set that valid to date 10 years in the future just to prevent the article from not being searchable. That valid to date should, coincide with an established process that your organization has to review that article. I will say, out of the box, we are going to send a notification to the ownership group or the knowledge author a month ahead of time, letting them know that their valid to date is coming up for expiration. So we do have that out of the box for you. I know that a lot of organizations build things around this, such as notifications. I've seen organizations use requests or feedback tasks. So there is some different things that you can do with it. Just make sure that it aligns to your strategy, whether it's 1 year or 6 months. Just making sure that this valid to date isn't an arbitrary date that isn't aligning to your process. The next thing for content review, periodically review their usage and views to really identify high performing content versus low performing content. That information is really going to help you kind of take appropriate action. So you might want to prioritize more periodic reviews for high performing content because it's seen a lot more than low performing content. So looking at your views and your usage is kind of going to guide you on what you should focus on more than other, because you don't really just want to kind of blanket and do a review for thousands and thousands of articles. You want some kind of strategy on what you should chip away at first. And then you can kind of decide, okay, for low performing articles, we're only going to do this, every XYZ months or, every year, but we want to focus more on those high performing articles. If you're using AQI, this is another thing you can do. You can roll out a periodic audit for AQI checklist. So, it goes through one when the article is published. But if you want to just make sure that articles within your knowledge base are still conforming to this, even though they've been updated, you can roll out an AQI audit as well and have your content owners run through that checklist. All right, so feedback and feedback task strategy. So if you are using knowledge feedback and feedback task, really having a strategy to handle these. You want to kind of establish and document what is the handling time for feedback and feedback tasks. We don't want these really kind of going into a table where they're not looked at a lot and they're not part of our operational process. You want to make the feedback and feedback task visible to your knowledge workers. So whoever is responsible for them, whether it's the knowledge author or the ownership group, they really should be seeing these in their daily tasks and in the dashboards that they work in. Some kind of widget or data visualization that shows them that they have these and they need to be worked. And they really need to understand how they should prioritize these, right? They're going to have, high priority incidents and change requests and things like that. But, just like they prioritize incidents and kind of have SLAs and due dates for that, we really should kind of work in our feedback and feedback tasks to make sure they get in there somewhere with those, lower priority incidents and when they have time to do those. So having a clear process and strategy on that and communicating that to your knowledge workers will really help them know when they should work these and when the time frame that they should work them in. We don't really want to put these on a separate dashboard for them to go check. It really should be front and center for them to know the things that they need to do in order to close that feedback loop. So on that subject, make sure that you are closing that feedback loop. It is really important for your submitters to know that there have been actions taken on their feedback so they feel heard and they're likely to provide more feedback in the future. If you have comments on articles, just like our community, please address those. If you have a knowledge article that has 5 comments saying that something doesn't work, it's not going to instill a lot of confidence in your user who's looking at it. So either respond to those comments or you can manage those comments and remove them. Just make sure that, if you're dealing with comments on articles, that you are keeping those up to date and that the users have the up-to-date information. All right, so let's go through some dashboards that we have to help you with this out of the box. So we do have our knowledge management overview dashboard. This has been around for quite some time. We do have safe harbor roadmap enhancements to move this over to next experience dashboard. So these will get a little love in the near future, but we also want to enhance them as well. But what this dashboard is for, it's for knowledge managers and admins to quickly look at metrics that are related to their knowledge bases and the article lifecycle. So they can track articles and when they were created or updated. So like, let's say that you're doing an audit. This is a really great way to see if I'm doing an audit, I should have a lot of articles that have been updated in the past 30 days, and I can quickly see this from my dashboard itself. We have a feedback tab, so we can see articles that have been flagged, helpfulness ratings, comments, and other overall trends for feedback. I would say if you are looking at feedback tasks, we don't include that out of the box, but this would be a really great tab to add any kind of additional widgets to if you want to track those feedback tasks at a higher level. Again, working the feedback tasks themselves should be on the knowledge workers dashboards incorporated with their other operational tasks. But if that higher level overview can be included on this dashboard. And then we also have an article usage tab. So again, tracking views and usage and other trends related to knowledge articles is all right there for you out of the box. And author metrics, this is really more pertinent to knowledge authors themselves. I would really say that the highest 3 tabs of the lifecycle, feedback and usage, are going to give you the most value on this dashboard. If you're using performance analytics, we have another dashboard for that. It's called knowledge management. So if you do have that license, we have a module in our guided setup that will help you set up your performance analytics for knowledge management and help you set up this dashboard and let you understand what you're going to get out of this dashboard. Again, this dashboard is going to help you make sure that your knowledge owners and content creators are following proper processes and procedures. And we do have 3 tabs on this dashboard. So we have a content usage tab. So if you want to look through click-through rate, authenticated and unauthenticated user activity, and some other activity on knowledge articles, you can view it there. Governance, that tab will show you indicators for percentages of articles published, how long it took to publish those articles. So if you are tracking that, we do have that information there for you. And then your content quality tab, indicators out of the box for AQI or article quality index, flag articles, ratings, and more. So with both of these dashboards, again, we are going to be looking at enhancing them in a future release and moving them over to next experience dashboards. But these are really great starting points to add your business process and get a little bit further and configure these for your knowledge management strategies. And then we have our Knowledge Demand Insights dashboard. So Knowledge Demand Insights, it is a part of predictive intelligence. So you do need to be licensed for that. But I talked about those knowledge gaps earlier and how we have a machine learning solution to look through those. So we do have this dashboard out for you. I won't go in depth, but I do have an article out on the community that talks about Knowledge Demand Insights more. All right, so I do see we're almost out of time. So let's go ahead and wrap up this session with some takeaways.
Timing is awesome. You're doing great.
I know. I feel like I could talk a lot more and go a lot more in depth in these. But yeah, let's just wrap this up for part 2. So the first thing, make sure that your content is easy to read, it's accessible, and it's trusted and relevant. Encourage your users to leave feedback to improve articles and close that feedback loop with them, so they're encouraged to leave more feedback. Make sure that your agents are searching early and searching often, whether it's in workspaces with Agent Assist or contextual search in classic environment, and encourage them to either flag things that are incorrect, fix them if that's part of your process, or create new articles as well if that's part of your process. and attach those knowledge articles when they find them. So we know that that knowledge did help in that issue. Use AI search over Zing search if you can for more of a consumer grade search experience. And then use our out-of-the-box dashboards and configure them to meet your content and feedback review strategies. All right, Lisa, I don't know if we have questions, but
We do.
I know you have some housekeeping, but we have a little bit of time here.
Yes. How to differentiate between searches done in the portal and the backend. I put an answer to that already. I checked the table just now, and there's a column called source type that you can add to your form or list, and that'll tell you where that search has happened. I think those are the current ones, and there are more coming in. Is there a list somewhere with all of the out-of-the-box dashboards? For knowledge management, I assume.
For knowledge, the product docs covers them. I would just check the product docs. And it covers all the different reports and indicators and things that are on them.
Yes. Awesome. Mary asked for a part 3 because this is so helpful. And then Rich, yes.
I was gonna say, I do have it on my radar. I don't know when we'll get to this. I know it's gonna come up sooner than later, right? Generative AI, we're definitely gonna cover the product features that we have out there for generative AI, but it is on my radar to do a best practice session to get knowledge management ready for generative AI. So these 2 parts will definitely flow into that, but we'll probably scale it down for another session. So it's in my brain. We have to get the tool made and get it out there, but there'll be another knowledge management session.
Yeah. Speaking of future sessions, I think most of the things have been answered. If there are more questions, please put them in chat or in the survey that opens up in a minute. We will answer the other ones offline. Once we, the community post is also there for you to, the community event is also there, and you can ask your questions there, and we'll address them as we can. And then for our future sessions, we are approaching Vancouver, and pretty much all of our other Academy sessions will have what's new in Vancouver sessions. I am planning to gather all of the dates into one handy overview, and I will share that on at least my Academy page, intro page, but I think the others will distribute that as well, so that you know where to join for all of the Vancouver goodness. We're very close to the early access period, and a bit after that, we will enter the general availability of Vancouver. So expect our Vancouver content probably mostly in September and October, because that is generally when we start. So there will be sessions on what's new for conversational interfaces, for next experience, for platform. I'll probably also have guests over for the creator workflows, so automation engine and app engine, and those interesting products. So be sure to sign up for these series so you don't miss the Vancouver new feature highlight sessions. My next session in 2 weeks is another one about subscription management, an all-time favorite. My boss Adam will join me again, and we'll do a quick walkthrough of his knowledge lab. And this will be another Better Together session, and we will show how you can build flows to better manage your subscriptions in your platform. So that'll be an interesting session. I'm still finalizing the session in 4 weeks. I think that's all.
You'll definitely see me again for admin center stuff and guided tours. So
yes,
we have.
I have those sessions on my backlog. Once we enter the Vancouver space, there will be uplift sessions on process automation designer and playbooks, because there are huge changes coming to process automation designer in Vancouver, and I'm very excited about to share that with you. There are more awesome changes coming to Decision Builder and all of the other interesting topics. So be sure to sign up. Be sure to please fill out the survey, give us some comments. Once we post this on YouTube, give us thumbs up and everything that gives us good dopamine. And that's about it. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining me again. I look forward to our next session together. And thank you, everybody, to join us for this Academy. See you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.